Hi, my name's Dave Miller, and I'm the manager of the Hope Library. Reading is essential to what I do every day. I have a passion for reading, and a lot of my work involves sharing that love of reading with kids. And so reading has been a really important part of my life since I was a kid, and I get to share that with people every day. The book I'm reading today is The Monster's Monster by Patrick McDonald. It's one of my favorite books. Like I say, I love stories, and I love kind of silly, wild stories. And this is one of my favorite books to read aloud. Grouch, Grump, and Little Gloom and Doom thought they were monsters. They lived in a dark monster castle, high atop a dark monster mountain, overlooking a monster-fearing village. Their little monster heads were always filled with big monster thoughts. Smash, crash, and bash! Huffing and puffing, mad about nothing, their 10 favorite words were no, 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 and no! Every day they argued over who was the biggest, baddest monster, who could complain the loudest, who could throw the most terrible tantrum, who was the most miserable. These debates always ended in a brawl. One day they decided to settle their argument once and for all. Grouch got some tape, tacks, and staples and glue. Grump found some gunk, gauze, and gobs of goo. And Gloom and Doom grabbed bolts, wire, and a smelly old shoe. Together they would make a monster, the biggest, baddest monster ever. They hoisted their creation into the stormy sky, where BAM! A lightning bolt sent a powerful jolt through the creature. The monster started to twitch. He's alive! Alive! The little terrors exclaimed. The monster roared as he stumbled around, tearing away his bandages. Big! Little Gloom squealed. Bad! Little Doom squeaked. Monster! They all cheered. The growling giant reached toward them, and then, in a deep, booming voice, he said his first words. Donku! He crushed them to his chest with a tight squeeze. Donku! 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 The monster wiggled his stubby monster fingers and tapped his clunky monster feet. He looked around in wonder and threw open a window. The room filled with warm, early dawn light, bird songs, and dewy fresh air. Monster smiled and let out a little giggle. What do you think you're doing? Cried Grouch. Monster bounced about the room, gently greeting the many bats, rats, spiders, and snakes around him. No, 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 they shouted. You're supposed to be a monster! But Monster didn't think he was a monster. He didn't think he was anything but thankful to be alive. Monster became still, sniffing a hint of sweetness in the morning air. Suddenly he let out a roar and smashed through the dungeon wall. Ha ha! Grouch laughed. He's finally coming to his senses! Yes, yes, shouted Grump. He's off to make mayhem in the village! He's going to smash and crash and bash! Cried Gloom and Doom. The rascals dashed after Monster, trying to keep up with his long strides down the mountain. Monster! Monster! They cheered after him. The village bakery was just opening for the day when Monster plowed through the front door. Grouch, Grump, and Gloom and Doom anxiously awaited outside the shop, peering through the dusty windows. Bad, whispered Gloom. Bad, whispered Doom. Shh, shh, begged Grump. I want to hear your howls and yowls. There was a tense quiet, and then finally from inside the bakery they heard, Donku! And Monster appeared, clutching a white paper bag. Then he turned and headed out of town toward the beach. After him! The trio cried. Monster! Monster! Monster slowly dealt down in the soft, cool sand. Grouch, Grump, and Gloom and Doom collapsed in a heap around him. And as they tried to catch their breath, Monster gently patted their heads. He carefully opened the bag and gave each of them a warm, powdered jelly donut. Grouch, Grump, and Gloom and Doom were speechless. But then they remembered what their big bad monster had said. Thank you! Monster looked at them and smiled. They smiled back, and together they all started to giggle. Grouch, Grump, and Little Gloom and Doom and their new friend sat quietly on the shore, watching the sun rise, and the seagulls playing, and the seagrass dancing, and the ocean glistening, and no one was thinking about being a monster. The end. Read every day. Reading is cool. It's vibrant. It's alive, and it's dangerous. By reading every day, you can become the great person that you are meant to be.